Where you live shapes who you become. And today we're going to talk about the power of environment. Welcome back. Let's Get Weird, the podcast with me, Sam Altieri. And the reason why I wanted to create this video today and this podcast episode is because for the last 3 years, my husband and I have been doing van life. We've been traveling all over the US. We saw almost 40 states. And we did van life because we wanted to find what felt like home. And now we have found our home in Boulder, Colorado. We just moved into our new place that you see behind me on May 1st. So it's very fresh energy, but I can tell you that my soul is so fucking happy having roots and being able to hang out with people and actually see them again. And there's so much change and shift happening right now in the collective, I think, with where people are actually located. And so I want to chat with you today about how where you live shapes who you become, not just like how you show up in the world, but also the opportunities that come into your field, the people that you meet, the way that your body actually feels in the location that you live, whether it's a temperature thing, or even just like mountains versus ocean versus desert, right? We all respond to different spaces differently. And also, not everyone is meant to stay in the same place for their whole life. So, let's go back a little bit, story time. So, van life. Kurt and I, we were living in the Boston area back in 2021, and we knew we didn't want to stay on the East Coast. There was something energetically, I think at the time I didn't really know this, but I just knew I didn't want to live there. I could not tolerate another East Coast, Northeast winter. If you live there, you know how brutal they are. And oh my God, there's like no sun. It's different being out in Colorado, even though there is snow and it can get cold. There's about like 300 days of sun. So I'm such a baby when it comes to not having sun, and I just couldn't do it anymore. And Kurt felt the same way. He knew he wanted to not be in the Northeast. So his idea, which I thought was genius, is let's sell 95% of what we owned, buy a Sprinter van, and travel the US until we found what felt like home. And so that's what we did. So from 2022 to the early 2025, we did full-time van life. It was fucking crazy. Let me just tell you that. We took some breaks, we stayed with family, but we did it for 3 years. We saw almost 40 states, and it was one of the most beautiful experiences, also most challenging experiences. And it's such a contrast to being in a home, right? And I didn't realize how dysregulating van life was. I mean, you have to make so many decisions every day. You're living 5 feet from the person you love the most. It's actually not that freeing because you're connected by a van, which means I couldn't go off and do my own thing. We didn't have space. We have nature. It was beautiful. We got to see so many things and meet so many incredible people. But I think that as we started to do it more and more, my soul was really craving more stability and one place that I felt like I could expand in and grow in. And so that really led us to make the decision of like, okay, where are we going to land? And once we found Colorado and once we found Boulder, we're like, oh, this is it. Like my whole body knew. I had full goosebumps when we came here in the winter of 2024. And I was like, I know we're supposed to be here. I don't know why, but my whole body was giving me the yes. And Kurt was on board too. So here we are. Now, the thing is your environment is not just like a backdrop for your life. It's actually where you co-create with life. I have only been in Boulder for a month-ish. And the amount of expansion, opportunity, connections, community, like literally everything, it's crazy how I jumped a timeline. Right. And I didn't recognize how much environment matters for your energy and for alignment and for your fucking soul. Your environment genuinely affects your nervous system, the way that you are in flow with life, your creativity, your motivation levels, living in alignment with your values and your purpose, your emotional well-being, your confidence, your community, your feeling of belonging and home within yourself. You you cannot thrive where you and your soul do not feel safe or seen. And when I was living in the Northeast, there was a pretty big stretch of time where I felt that way. Not the whole time, but a lot of that time. And I just knew that I wasn't supposed to be there, but I didn't know where I was supposed to be, right? I didn't know where I was actually being called to. So if you're in that place, I totally get it, where you know you don't want to be in what you're in, but you also don't know where you want to go. So this is a great opportunity for you to, book a flight, take a trip, do van life, experiment and kind of suss it out. My parents are also in the process of moving. They're going to be moving to Tennessee, and they're in the same exact boat. They know they don't want to be, they're in Massachusetts. They know they don't want to be in Massachusetts anymore. They want to move to Tennessee. But they don't know exactly the place. They're still figuring out what they want to do. So if you're in that middle space, I just want to let you know that the more clarity that you can get for yourself, the easier it will be to manifest exactly what you want, right? And the other thing that I want to speak to, besides like the physical versus energetic environment, is that places have different frequencies. Like if we were to take a measuring device and we were actually to go ahead and measure the frequency of the planet in different areas all over the world, they all have different frequencies. And this is why spaces and places like Sedona exist, because there's actual energy vortexes where the frequency is literally higher there, right? I think Boulder is one of those places. There is definitely a very, very conscious, aware, maybe spiritual is the right word, but there is definitely a frequency to this place that is different than when I lived in Boston. There's a completely different frequency, right? There's a different energy. There's a different feeling that you have. And it's the same when it comes to locations, whether you are more of a mountain person or whether you are more of an ocean person, or maybe you're a desert person, right? We all have, natural gravitational pulls towards certain places. And so if right now you feel like you don't really belong in the place that you're in, I just want you to trust that, because there's totally so many places you can live, so many different frequencies in which you can live that actually match you. Part of the reason why I felt like Boulder would be a great fit for us is, well, number one, I just loved the feeling. That was the first thing. It was the feeling in my body that I felt being here. It felt like I could take a deep breath and like relax. But beyond that, a lot of people that do live here have very similar values. Being outside, being active, very health oriented. There's a really solid coffee scene. I love coffee. A lot of mountain biking, hiking, running. There's a lot of Olympic athletes that live here. And we live at 8,000 feet elevation. So there's something for me, because I channel, there's something for me about being able to be in the mountains and be higher than the society, where I have more clarity. Like I'm not in the noise of human consciousness. Like, not to get like super fucking meta here, but I genuinely have never felt more clear living this high in the mountains, where I can see the city, I can see the mountains, and I can be in my home, in my safe bubble up here, right? And then I can drive into town and it's like 10 minutes. But that, I've never experienced that. I've always been in the noise. I lived in Boston. I lived near Fenway. I lived near Harvard. I was in these very congested areas, which at the time, in my life, in my 20s, that is what I needed. I thrived. But then as I reached my later 20s, I knew like, this isn't it anymore. I just didn't know what that meant. And then here we are, in Boulder, and it feels like such a peaceful respite from everything going on. And especially with like the work that I feel like I really am here to do, there is a certain frequency that I want to curate for myself, right? Now, what I want to speak to is the fact that not everyone can move right away. I mean, to be honest, like I've been manifesting this place for probably a year at least. I mean, we were trying to find a place that felt like home back in 2020, 2021. So you could say it's 4 to 5 years. But between putting all the pieces in motion, doing van life, fully experiencing it, getting clear on what we wanted, we didn't even know where we wanted to be. It does take time to not only figure out where you want to go and feel into that and kind of just pick up on the signs, but also like the logistical pieces of that, right? Maybe you are in a lease, or you are living with roommates, or you and your husband or your partner or your boyfriend or whatever have different desires. Like there's a lot of potential things that could be happening in your reality. And so just to acknowledge, like, it's not just like, oh yeah, just you should move. Like that's not how it works. It's actually much more complex than that. So, your inner home, though, your inner home and your home environment really do matter. So if this has been something that's on your heart, I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of the listeners of the podcast. You guys have been my DMs. I have some private clients who are navigating. They're either wanting to buy a home, or they're wanting to become nomadic, or they're wanting to move. They've outgrown their current environment. Maybe that's you. It's a collective thing, I feel like, that's happening right now. And I just landed here. Like, we moved into our place like literally 19 days ago. So it's very fresh. It's very new. But what I can say on the other side of this is it is so fucking worth pursuing and following the calling of location that your soul is like begging you to just pursue. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you might not be able to move the second, but what you can start doing is, first of all, seeing, can you make your internal environment reflect more of who you are? It could be something as simple as, like, maybe you just need to zhuzh up the space a little bit. You can add some plants and crystals and whatever you want to do and make it feel more homey. You can look up feng shui. I'm going to try to have a feng shui person on the show because I'm really fascinated with chi and energy and how energy moves and flows through a space. And we kind of unintentionally feng shuied this place. I think it's just kind of when you're like in tune with energy, you put things in certain places and arrange things. And I don't know. I have a knack for design. I mean, I did get my grad degree in architecture, so maybe that's it too. But anyways, see if you can rearrange the internal space that you currently do have. Can you make it a little brighter? Can you make it a little bit more vibey? Can you make it a little bit more more cozy? And just start there. And then you can start, like, use AI, use ChatGPT, use Grok, use whatever you use, and start actually just putting out feelers. If you don't know, if you have no idea, of type in the kind of vibe that you want, the hobbies that you enjoy. Maybe you've always had it on your heart to move to a certain place. I had a past student of mine say that she wanted to move. I think she wanted to move to like Scottsdale or something. And I was like, well, go visit, like go there, because sometimes our mind can think we want to live there, and then we get there and we're like, no, this is not it. I was so against living in Colorado. I thought this place, I was like, no, I don't want to be in a landlocked state. I'm an ocean girl. And then I got here and I was like, but am I? Like, I grew up in the ocean. I grew up like 20, 30 minutes from Cape Cod. I was used to the salt water. I was used to going to the beach like all the time, but I've never felt more alive in the mountains. Like, oh my God, and the sunshine here and being at elevation. And so now I can go visit the beach, and if we end up, down the line getting, like, we have an ocean place and a mountain place, but I didn't know it until I got here. So sometimes you do have to do a little exploring. I mean, Kurt and I did almost 40 states, right? We definitely tried to plant ourselves in every potential situation that we could have experimented in. Every state, we're like, could we see ourselves living here? Does it feel good? What's the vibes? What's the people like? What's the environment? What's the food scene? What, like, music, like all the things we enjoy. And so that kind of gave us some clues. So just starting to recognize, like, maybe you've traveled places where you do get inspired, or maybe you've traveled places where you do get drained. Maybe this is not an unpopular opinion, but I kind of feel this way about Florida. A lot of my best friends live in Florida, but generally I don't like the state. Like, I like certain things about the state, but I don't like the feeling of the state. I don't know why. I have no idea why, but just got to trust that, it doesn't have to make sense. It's just got to feel good. So, if you have been having this soul call to move, like you're likely feeling an intuitive nudge that will not go away, and there is probably resistance between you and the move because you haven't moved yet. And that is typically one of a few things. One, the fear of the unknown. You're like, oh my God, what's going to happen? I know for my parents have lived in their house since before I was born. That's multiple decades of living in the same place, having all of your stuff in that place. Like, of course they're fucking terrified, you know? I also have a client who has shared with me that she's experiencing a little bit of guilt because one of her family members doesn't want her to leave. You know, I know that that's a very common thing. Maybe you have a family member or somebody in your life who is kind of guilt tripping you into staying. And then lastly, it's just like comfort zones. It's so much easier to stay where you are because duh, moving is fucking annoying. And there's so many logistics. You have to meet new people, you have to build new network, new community, etc. But I think that when you see the positives outweigh kind of the pain in the ass things, and you really do trust the call of your soul, I feel like the fulfillment and the satisfaction and like the soul, like, that's how I feel right now here. It feels like, oh my God, is this really my life? Like, and I never even knew that this feeling was possible. And I also didn't even know that I wasn't feeling this way in my current environment, which is why I wanted to record this, because I'm like, sometimes we don't even know that our environment is suffocating us, you know? And there is a lot of discomfort in changing where you live. If you have kids, depending on the age of your kids, you have to move school systems or preschool, or, oh, but if you move and your family's close to you, then who's going to take care of them? Childcare, like childcare is like freaking it's so crazy. And so it's like, there's a lot, but I also want to really speak to like what is waiting for you on the other side of that move, right? Because at the end of the day, every single person I know that has, whether it's a student, a client, a friend, and myself, that has made that move, they have felt so invigorated and alive after they just trusted their gut. They trusted the call of their soul. And so I really want to give you faith and hope and empowerment and encouragement that this is also possible for you too, wherever you decide that you want to move, whether it's to the mountains or to the ocean, or maybe you want to downsize and fucking move to Europe. Maybe you want to live in Costa Rica. Like, whatever it is, like, it's fucking amazing, you know? But I think that there are certain places that our soul really wants to be in. And I thought about this actually right when we moved in to our place. I was thinking to myself, I'm like, right now being here feels amazing. I never want to leave. But isn't it funny how I felt that way when I lived in Boston? And I thought to myself, I never want to leave. At a certain point in my journey, what I absolutely dreamed of, living in Boston, going to college in Boston and staying there and then moving to Cambridge, that was a dream. And then that became something that I wanted to leave. I had outgrown. I'm like, this isn't it anymore. And so the place necessarily didn't change that much, but I did. And maybe you're feeling the same way. I don't know how long we will live here. I hope that it's a long time because I love it here and I'm really happy. We just moved here. I'm still in like the honeymoon phase of this place. And I hope to stay in that because it's incredible that I can walk outside and go for a hike or a trail run without even getting in my car. That is a gift. It was on my manifestation list. But who knows? Maybe things will change. Maybe when and if Kurt and I decide to have kids, which I think we will, maybe things will change. I really don't know yet. And so all I can do is live in the present moment. But for you, I want you to know that if you are in the experience of like, I've outgrown the place that I live, and like your soul is like, motherfucker, damn it. Like, I know, like I'm speaking to your soul right now and you're like, I've been avoiding this motherfucker. Then, well, I'm here to just tell you, like, your soul wants you to move. Love you. But here's the thing. I want to share some really cool things that have opened up for me since I have moved here and since we left Boston, put an end on van life, and am now in a home. By the way, we are selling our van. I did post this on my Instagram. If you or anyone that you know is looking to buy a van that is absolutely beautiful, upfitted to live in full time, solar, full kitchen, bathroom, shower, all of it. It's a Mercedes Sprinter. It has like 50,000 miles, in really great condition. We poured love and nurturing into her. If you are interested or know somebody that is, please just shoot me a message. I would love to like sell it to somebody that's like great and in my community. That would be so cool. But since getting here, so many things have opened up for me. Number one, I was connected to a local recording studio here, and I've started to build a really incredible partnership with a studio here. You guys know that my thing is podcasting and speaking and creation. And I also feel called to maybe write a song. And I'm like, well, that wasn't an accident. I got connected through a friend, and it was perfect. It was amazing. And I'm so grateful. So that connection, I got asked to co-facilitate an event here in Colorado called the Powerful Female Voices of Colorado. That's amazing. That happened before I even officially moved into our place. So that's an incredible opportunity. I got asked to speak at my friend Chelsea and Caitlin's events in Denver a few weeks ago, where I performed and I led like a twerk dance session, and I got people out of their heads, and I really taught them all about showing up and being seen. That wouldn't have happened if I wasn't living here. There's so many things. I could keep going on and on. I just joined this group called Trail Sisters, and it's all of these women who love to trail run. And I've been doing my long runs with this group. I just ran 10 miles on Sunday, and then we cleaned up one of the trails that was having some erosion. Like, I've been here for 20 days, 19 days, and all of this has already happened, right? And so I feel like I'm being connected left and right. I just met this incredible I feel like she's going to be one of my really good friends, incredible friend who is kind of in a like parallel industry. And I'm like, I just feel like her and I are going to collab. It's like I found my people, I found my place, I found my people, I found my location. And I've just met the most divine, magical unicorns while living here. And I've been here for 3 weeks, So it's just really showing you what is possible for you when you do listen to yourself, when you trust the calling and the like your soul's knowing of location. The other thing you can do that I just want to suggest, I don't know a shit ton about this, but if you Google or put into Chat GPT astrocartography, you can also put in your birth chart and it will tell you the places in the world where your soul will thrive. Now, I don't like to always like outsource my power to that type of thing. It's not like I'm going to be like, oh, I have to live on this line because this map said it. It's like, no, trust yourself. But it is an interesting tool. I think you can actually get Chat GPT to tell you information about that. It's pretty fascinating. But at the end of the day, I think you just need to trust the signs, do a little research, ask some people, put out feelers, write it down in your manifestation list exactly how you want to feel in the new location that you want to move or in the environment that you want to live in. For me, I mean, I made a list of the place that we're currently are at. I said floor to ceiling windows, a view, trails right in our backyard, 10 to 15 minutes into town, or like of a major city, because I didn't know where we were going to live, I forget. A lot of sunshine, good community. There's a few other things, but I got the whole list and more. And so I think it's just like allowing yourself to have exactly what you want. You don't have to settle. You really don't have to settle. I've learned that the hard way for sure. Sometimes you don't even realize you're settling until you get to a new place and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I was enduring that. But yeah, your environment is so much more than just like what it looks like or even the location on the map. It's so much more about alignment. And so I really want to invite you to envision what your life could look like in a place that actually supports your highest self. I know that I'm here for a reason because it's really at the intersection of creativity, like creative endeavors, entrepreneurship, purpose. There's a lot of purpose-driven people here. And then athleticism. I really feel called to bring back the body and to hone my skills even more as an athlete and as a runner. And yeah, just like see how fit I can get, really. It's just kind of like a fun thing of how good I can feel. And so I want to just leave you here with a few reflective questions. Maybe there's an environment right now that would feel like home to your soul. Start journaling on that. For me, I was like, I want to feel alive. That is a feeling. And then I realized that being able to run trails or hike like that within 5 to 10 minutes was like a non-negotiable for me. I'm like, this is like, it's like I do it every day. I literally go for a hike or a trail run every day. And it's beautiful. I'm like, I don't have to go on vacation to experience the feelings of vacation. And I don't want to have to live a life where I need to take a vacation from it. I want every day to feel like, fuck yeah. And if I want to travel, great. But it's so interesting. I've never been in a place in my life where I felt like I don't want to travel. And I think obviously it's because I just did 3 years of traveling. But I'm like, nah, I feel really called to be here because I genuinely am so happy being here, right? Take a look at some past trips or even places like, photos of places and communities where maybe you have felt or you suspect that you will feel alive, clear, and free. That is how I feel here. Alive, clear, and free. I think that I have profound clarity. I feel really ready to go hard on writing my book, and I feel really activated and alive and excited to wake up in the morning. And that wasn't always the case. I'm gonna be honest. If you guys listen to my story way back when I was living in Boston and things were not good, when I was in my 9 to 5, I mean, I didn't even want to be alive then. It's crazy to think that that was less than 10 years ago, So I just want you to know that you can feel alive, clear, and free. Sometimes you just got to do a little bit of exploring. And then lastly, this kind of goes back to what I was saying about like settling or standards. It's like, maybe right now you actually are settling in an environment because it's actually costing you something. It's costing you liberation. It's costing you creativity. It's costing you community. It's costing you opportunity. It's costing you peace. If you've been looking for a sign to move and to find your home, your soul home, whatever that is, like this is it. This is your fucking sign, baby. I want you to trust your inner compass, your intuition, and these little nudges. They are guiding you in the right direction. And I don't think that we realize how much our environment matters until we land in a place that feels like home and we wonder, what the heck were we doing before? So do an inventory, do an audit, get honest with yourself. It does require radical honesty. And then if you realize like, okay, you don't want to be in the place that you're in, then it's time to do some digging and some soul searching. And what I will say is doing something like this, it's always helpful to have ride or die community in your corner because it's scary. It is scary. I leaned on my friends and family. Specifically Kurt, but I leaned on a lot of my friends so much while I was going through this transition because I was telling them, I'm like, I feel awful doing van life, like towards the end of it. And they were like, I don't know how you're doing it. Like, I really feel like you're just going to thrive once you find a home. And like, I feel like they could see it so easily. And I just didn't realize like how much pain basically I was causing myself. And so I really needed the like accountability and support that they gave me in that moment. So you guys have heard me talk about the green room, and like I said, that space is really for your highest evolution and just to hold you accountable, to make you really see like, life is short and anything can happen and you might as well just fucking go for it. So if you are looking for, your ride or die people to kind of hold you to the thing and to be like, you fucking got this. Definitely check out the green room. That's my membership space. And I think sometimes we need that nudge from our friends of like, dude, of course you need to fucking go. Like, what are you waiting for? And I'm going to give you the loving push of like, yo, if you've been waiting for a sign, like you need to go do it, you need to go do it and walk yourself off the ledge and take a trust fall, because the only thing you need to know is the place. Once you start doing that, I guarantee you the universe is going to conspire in your favor and give you all these little signs and nudges and people. And it's going to feel, I don't want to say easy because there's going to be obstacles, but there's going to feel like a certain sense of flow. Opportunities will present, connections. Oh, I gotta blah, 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 blah. Things are going to be moving. Energy is going to move. And if you've been in a place that is no longer for you, there's energy is probably stagnated. Maybe you feel stuck in your business. Maybe you feel stuck in your relationship. Maybe you feel stuck in your life. I know for me, once I got here, my creativity, business, brand, like fucking everything, I was like, clarity, boom, got to do this, got to do that. Yep, done, space. Like, it hit me, So sometimes that's all we need. So again, if you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. Your environment is literally everything, okay? And where you live really does shape who you become. So be intentional about where you choose to build some roots or become nomadic. And I'm really excited to see where you end up. Let me know in the comments where you're thinking about moving or where you want to move or where you want to travel to. And we'll cheer you on. And yeah. So thanks for being here. I love you. Let's go get weird together. And I'll see you on the next one.